Right, let's start the session. Good morning, good afternoon, and very good evening, depending on which time zone you're joining us from. And a warm welcome to each one of you. Thank you so much for taking your time to join this session. Yes, our topic for today is understanding the product owner and Scrum Master dynamics. And without taking much time, I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Heitor. He's a globally recognized agile coach, and with over 20 years of experience, he has worked with esteemed organizations such as Yamaha and Siemens Mobile, fostering agile adoption and implementing Scrum practices. As a certified Scrum trainer at Maximus, he has trained over 5,000 professionals worldwide. Additionally, he holds an MSc in Information Technology from the University of Stuttgart and is passionate about knowledge sharing. He writes articles, ebooks, and speaks at conferences whenever possible. And without much ado, I would like to hand over the session to Heitor.
Thanks, Somnia. Hey guys, good day everyone. Thanks for being here. We're going to be talking about how do product owners and Scrum Masters help generate results, right? We know these are two responsibilities in Scrum. I want to help you guys understand what you're going to be learning here today, right? What's the logic behind Scrum and its responsibilities, right? As a lean work model. I want to help you guys identify if your Scrum Master is doing a good job as a Scrum Master, right? Is it operating properly, so to say, right? Or if you, as a Scrum Master, is on the right track. Identify as well if your PO is doing a good job, right? Or if you as a product owner are doing a good job, right? And at the end, I want to help you guys develop a personalized plan for growth and development, either as a Scrum Master or product owner. Okay. All right. For both roles, well, the Scrum guy doesn't call them roles anymore. All right. We call them responsibilities. So that's the first thing I need you guys to understand, right? Prior, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, right, we used to call them well, with 2024 now, right? So 4-5 years ago, we used to call them roles, Scrum roles, developers, Scrum Master, and product owner, right? They're not called roles anymore. Why not? Because Scrum has a fundamental unit of work. It's like indivisible, right? This fundamental unit of work is known as a Scrum team, right? So if I want to make, it's a tendency in governance all around the planet, right? So if companies going through transitioning to Agile or conducting, we don't say that anymore. I'm transitioning to Agile. It's not very, what people are saying nowadays is we are executing, we're going through a transformation project. A transformation project is, the idea there is bringing Agile to the game, of course, but not only that, right? Companies are now looking for different work models, different management models, and Scrum, Agile, and Agile practices, lean thinking are the engine of these new work models that companies are coming up with, right? So that's why we don't call them roles anymore, right? Because we have a fundamental unit of work. This fundamental unit of work has a specific lean work model that we call Scrum, right? So what's the logic behind Scrum, right? So that's what I want to share with you guys. But before I get there, I'm going to be sketching here for you guys live during the webinar. I want to say that together with KnowledgeHut, we offer two major certifications, which is the Scrum Master certification and the Product Owner certifications. So if you guys enjoy what's going to be happening in the webinar, please think about pursuing those two certifications. We go deep into the details of Scrum Master and Product Owner into those two certifications. These are entry-level certifications. Nevertheless, we see a lot of things about Scrum Master and product owners, right? So a major thing here, product owners, developers, and organizations, they can't get the benefits of Scrum, nor the benefits of Lean, right? Or Lean Agile practices without deep understanding and applying principles and values, Lean principles and values, right? So this is why we need these two roles here. They're fundamental because of that, right? So let me show you guys. Let's start with the Scrum Master, and then we move to the product owner. So let me share with you guys here my sketch. All right. From a Scrum Master's standpoint, the focus of the Scrum Master changes over time, right? I'm going to show you guys two focuses here. One is the team that the Scrum Master. So Scrum Masters, they fundamentally work inside a Scrum team, right? So that's the Scrum team. So in the very beginning, Scrum Masters, they look inwards. What does it mean? This means that initially, over time, the Scrum Master's focus is on the team itself, right? So that's the team focus. This changes to decrease, the focus on the team tends to decrease over time. Why? Because people get to know about Scrum over time after, I don't know, maybe a few sprints, maybe a month, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, right? Teams, they know, they learn how to operate under Scrum rules, and therefore the focus decreases, right? So there is a tipping point here, as you can see here. So why does the focus on the team decreases? Because the team is now mature enough to do Scrum, they have mature engineering practices. They know how to operate on a lean agile standpoint, right? They know how to conduct sprint planning meetings. They know the need for daily scrums. They know how to perform on a sprint review, on a retrospective, right? So it means that you are not very much needed as a Scrum Master. So therefore, after this inflection point here, you may think about perhaps a Scrum Master in other teams, right? So that's the idea here. So that's the tipping point. All right. So that means you need to spend less time. Here, you spend more time with the team. And here, you spend less time, or you tend to spend less time with the team. How is it possible? Learning, once the team learns how to operate under lean agile roles, you don't need them. You don't need they don't need you to tell them how to operate properly. Do you understand? But this is not the only variable that you should take into account when thinking about Scrum Mastering other teams, right? But that's subject for a different webinar. All right. So I just wanted to understand that this happens over time, right? And then the focus you have on the organization, on the organization as a whole, right? The context in which the team exists, right, increases over time, right? So it's not very much taken into account in the beginning because you care about your team. You look inwards, but over time, you tend to look outwards, the team, outside the scope of the team, right? So that's when the focus on the organization starts to grow. And there is this tipping point here, right? So here you have a team perspective because you're focusing inwards, right? And here you have a broader perspective, a broader organizational perspective, meaning you know that you have worked a lot on a team, you have trained them, they have excellent practices, they have created an identity, given the team remains stable, of course. If you change the composition of the team, you're never going to go through the stepping point here, right? And once they gain identity and become more mature over time, you can look outwards because you will identify that the problem now is not in the team itself. It's actually out there, outside the scope of the team. It's outside, it's in the organization, maybe leadership, maybe management practices, maybe on the PMO, maybe etc. So that's when you start to look outside the team and then you gain a broader perspective, right? So that's it about the scope of the Scrum Master. So therefore, from a broader organizational standpoint, the Scrum Master, right, needs to understand that organizations today, they are basically executing transformation projects, right? We're going through a transformation, right? Because we are always in search of FCB. What's FCB? F stands for faster, C stands for cheaper, and B stands for better, right? So faster, cheaper, and better. Organizations since the early beginning of capitalism, since people started creating companies back in late 1900s with Industrial Revolution, right? And jump into the very beginning of the 20th century when Henry Ford started and among others created the conveyor belt, the production line, mass production. Organizations are always looking for FCB. They want to do things faster, cheaper, but they need to maintain quality, right? So otherwise they don't sell. If they don't sell, they don't have money. If they don't have money, they can fulfill their mission, right? So these are the two major points organizations are looking for today. Transformation projects, of course, because we want to get better, and we have to look for FCB. Great. So therefore, what do they do, right? What happens then? They hire consultants like me, or maybe like you. They hire agile coaches. Agile coaches are the guys that are very much tied to this organizational standpoint, more consulted, a more consulting perspective. So I see the whole, right? They assemble teams to get things done. Maybe they assemble a team to execute and plan and execute the transformation project. Maybe they assemble teams, agile teams around products, right? And finally, they redesign their work model. They need to change how they work, right? So they need a better operating system, right? So therefore, organizations have to think about FCB. It's an you can't avoid that. So that's what happens nowadays, right? So what does Scrum Master have to do with that? Scrum Masters, once you change your perspective, right? Once your perspective starts to broaden here, you are the best person, right, in the organization to help them in this endeavor. So from a broader organizational perspective, what could you do as a Scrum Master? You have to think about Agile management, right? So that's the thing here. You're not going to stay forever focusing on conducting sprint plannings or daily scrums or sprint reviews or retrospectives, right? This you do in the beginning, but you have to evolve your career as a Scrum Master. And the path is already there, right? When organizations start using Scrum on the operations side of the whole thing, like producing products and coming up with solutions and everything, right? They're going to be desiring this benefits that a team acquires on a team perspective. They want to bring that to the whole organization. And who's going to be doing that? Somebody in management. And somebody in management, maybe the CEO, maybe a manager, maybe a PMO or VMO, right? A value management office. They're going to be looking for people like the Scrum Master, because the Scrum Master, by definition, is a change agent. So that's the management aspect of being a Scrum Master, right? From a broader organizational perspective. But what about from a team perspective, right? From a team perspective, the Scrum Master does what? Well, first of all, teams nowadays, what do Agile teams do? They look for timely delivery, for sure, right? Pain point for every single Agile team. Are you guys delivering in a timely manner, right? FCB means doing things fast, but better all the time, maintaining quality of service, right? Teams are looking to improve their engineering skills, meaning what boxes do they follow? Teams are meeting and facing blockers. That's normal. On a daily basis, these things happen. So therefore, what happens? They deal with conflicts, right? And it may be something social. So a team member doesn't like another team member, or there is some type of friction between product owners and developers, or among developers themselves, right? So this demotivates people. When you want to get things moving on, and it never, there's no switch, it doesn't click, right? People get demotivated, right? And especially because they can't see themselves objectively. So it's hard to see ourselves as a person objectively. Who are you, right? Why do you have these problems, right? So we need some level of awareness on the team perspective as well. That's why we need Scrum Masters on teams, because they can't see themselves objectively. So from a team perspective, Scrum Masters, they have a more social, right, or leadership role to help them get over blockers or get over problems or conflicts, right? And you also are more of a facilitator. So these things that we hear commonly around on the internet, if you guys Google for Scrum Masters, for example, 100% sure you're going to see something related to facilitation. That means making things easier, right? And also aspects of leadership, right? So that's what Scrum Masters do. You have to make sure that the team has a process to follow. You have to make sure that the process is clear and understood by everybody in the team. You have to make sure that these people, your team, is trained in Scrum, but also in engineering aspects, maybe technical aspects, right? So they need to strive for technical excellence. And technical here means what? It could be software development. It could be software engineering. It could be construction engineering. It could be architecture. It could be anything you want, right? So that's what Scrum Masters do from a team perspective, right? So if you guys have questions, don't refrain from writing them over there in the Q&A over there, right? All right. So you see that the Scrum Master has two different set of well, three, right? You are an Agile manager, meaning if you cross the gap, if you cross this, if you are able to, over time, right, to cross those two inflection points, that's awesome. Then you're going to work as a broader change agent, right? Does this happen with every single Scrum Master on the planet? No. Why not? Because of organizational culture, right? Most organizations don't see Scrum Masters as the guys, the change agents, that are going to help them planning and executing transformation projects. They right off the bat, they hire Agile coaches or consultants like me. Do you understand? But that doesn't mean that you cannot acquire this knowledge and get ready for the next opportunity that appears in your career. All right. Another thing that happens is what's the name of the term? So people come in and out of the team. So the teams are dismantled. At the end of a project, for example, the team is finished, the project is delivered, and the team is dismantled. So you assemble a new team every time a new project comes up. So you lose identity, you lose knowledge when you do that. So a lot of people, keep that in mind, a lot of organizations don't provide the necessary environment for Scrum Masters to go through those 2 inflection points here, because they focus on projects, right? Scrum is a team-centric approach. So instead of allocating resources as people into projects, you allocate projects into teams. It's a big difference, right? It's not a major change in operations, but it's a big difference in the mindset, right? All right. So if you cross that boundary, that's awesome. Then you can have a broader organizational perspective. If not, you will be a Scrum Master conducting activities related to team leadership and being a facilitator of meetings, dealing with conflicts and everything, which is also cool. It's not a bad thing per se. But if you're looking for broadening perspectives or doing something more related to management, you have to be in an organization that allows you to literally cross this inflection point here over time. All right. Great. What about the product owner? The product owner, differently from Scrum Master, product owners, both from a team and broader organizational perspectives, do one thing only. The product owners are the bearers of the solution, of the vision of the product. All right. So that means from a team standpoint or from an organizational standpoint, people want to do things, right? So the POs are those telling people what to do. Why? Imagine up here, we have different stakeholders, right? Stakeholders of any project, any endeavor, the customers of a product or a business area, anybody. These people are going to have different ideas, X, Y, Z, etc. Right? They have different needs, they have different expectations, they have different backgrounds. So therefore, imagine if these guys here had direct access to a technical team, right? A bunch of Agile developers down here. Imagine how the life of those developers would be, right? Everybody asking from a different standpoint, asking what to do, asking the different things. So these developers, they would not have priority. Priority is something that we use in singular. Never use the word priorities, because if you have priorities, you don't have a priority, right? They wouldn't have a plan, an overarching plan. Where are we going? What's the roadmap of this solution, of this idea, of this product? You see, I'm not talking about projects here. I'm talking of a broader perspective, fundamental, right? They wouldn't have, therefore, any clues in terms of what they should be doing. All right. So that's the reason why we have the product owner, either from a team standpoint or from an organizational standpoint. Product owners are funnels. Product owners are those guys responsible for providing priority, providing a plan, and providing what to do on a given moment, at any moment. At any moment, if I have a question about what should I be doing now, I've got to ask my product owner, what's the plan 3 months ahead of time, product owner? He or she should be able to answer that, right? So the product owner, both from a team and from a broader organizational standpoint, they have a management role. Right? Yeah, we could say agile management. So that because management has this connotation, could be either positive or negative. Too much management is negative, bureaucratic, right? Too less management, things are chaotic. Let's balance it out. Let's call it agile management. right? So that's what the product owner does on a daily basis. Therefore, he or she got to be meeting with a customer, with stakeholders, whoever they are, to establish a plan, to prioritize the work of the team, always looking ahead. The team is working on a specific sprint, right? The work of a specific sprint of whatever project is happening right now. The PO is already looking ahead of time, maybe 2-3 sprints ahead, right? So ultimately, the PO tells us what to do. All right. So developers, they tell us how to do things that we got to do. The technical people, that those, um, on the trenches, getting things done. Right. Outstanding. Let me know if you guys have any questions here. Go back to our material. All right. Now, I want to share with you guys here some skills and other things, for lack of a better noun, that can contribute to Scrum Mastering in product ownership. All right. Naturally, organizational support, as I was telling you guys, right, in decision making, both for Scrum Master and product owner, is fundamental that you guys work in a company that upholds they have your back. In plain English, the companies, they need to have your back, right? Management support, therefore, is fundamental. Imagine, for example, a product owner that makes decisions, but their decisions are not respected by the organization. What's missing here? This usually happens, guys, because usually those playing the role, I'm going to put it this way, playing the role of product owners are either business analysts, maybe product analysts, right? So you don't have like the VP of products, or maybe the owner of the company, or maybe the product manager playing the role of product owner from a team standpoint, from a team perspective, right? From an organizational perspective, it makes a lot of sense to have a VP, for example, or maybe the CEO, or perhaps a business director, or maybe a business partner playing the role of the product owner, right? Why? Because we have to think about what needs to be done. We have to provide the whole organization, right? The whole chain, supply chain, or the whole department, or the whole stream value with priority, right? Resilience, this is something very personal. Resilience and personal development, leadership training, crucial for product owners, especially for Scrum Masters, right? Self-awareness and mindfulness practices, and a lot of lean thinking, right? So building resilience is fundamental, right? What is mindfulness? What's self-awareness? This is something that's usually taken for granted, right? I've been in this Agile world I started working in 2004, right? I was pursuing my PMP certifications, right? Project Management Professional certification, and I came across my CSM training. I came across this CSM thing. It was just born early 2000s, right? And then I got my training. I got educated on Scrum, and getting educated on Scrum was a turning point in my career, because instantly I could see that this thing delivers. So I start, delving into the details and everything, and then what usually happens with a Scrum Master or a product owner or any change agent, let's just call them Agilists, right? The Agilist takes this thing and go like, I have to delve into those details. And there are so many things to learn. You spend a lifetime learning these things. You're feeding the left side of your brain. The left side of your brain is the side that takes care of logic, of technical knowledge, right? Of management knowledge, lean knowledge, agile, Scrum knowledge. You feed your left side of the brain. I don't know. I have trained thousands of people across the planet, a lot of people in India, a lot of people in Europe, in the United States, in Latin America, South America, and I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 Scrum Masters, right? came up with something different than Scrum or maybe lean practices, or a lot of people want to transform. The massive majority of people want to transform the world. I want to transform my company. I want to transform my organization. But nobody, almost nobody, looks inwards and think about transforming themselves. That's the first step, because the transformation begins with you in here, not outside. 99% of people, all right, I'm not going to be so tough, but maybe 97% of people don't think about that. Mindfulness involves being present at the moment, understanding what's up, clicks, sounds, colors, smells that you feel. This is mindfulness. How people behave. You perceive how people perceive you, and then you adjust accordingly. That's awesome. You can call that emotional intelligence as well, right? Practicing these two skills is going to improve your mental health, of course, and well-being. Does make you more productive. A lot of people don't think about that. But let me tell you one thing. Why am I talking about resilience? Resilience, mental resilience, is the number one differentiating aspect for 21st century professionals. And a lot of people still take this for granted. We had a pandemic. The World Health Organization is saying that today, guys, number one cause of low productivity, right, in organizations is anxiety disorders. This is crazy. I never thought I would live to see, right, to see, news about those things, because this is something we rarely talk about, because we only care as we grow up, especially as somebody from the West, right? We only care about personal hygiene, right? Material hygiene, body hygiene. Got to shower once or maybe twice a day, depending on where you are, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. We have to clean up after we go to the toilet, or we learn about this hygiene. And when you get hurt, you got stitches, and then have to take care of your boo-boo, right? This is what we think about when growing up. But we never think about what should I do if I face adversity? What should I do if somebody tells me no? What should I do if people don't hear me? People are not listening to me. I'm the change agent here. How am I supposed to inspire people to get things done? We never think about those things. We only think about those things when it's probably too late for most people. So I'm telling you right now, start thinking about building resilience, right? Positive thinking and reframing. This is about facing challenging situations from a positive perspective, right? And develop a gratitude. Thanks for facing this adversity here. Thanks for facing this very difficult moment right now. Remember, the organization, even if your boss doesn't look like that, even if management doesn't look like that, or maybe if they externalize that, right? You are a Scrum Master, stay in a team, and you want to broaden your perspective, but you don't have the opportunity. Remember, nevertheless, the organization is by your side. The organization is there. You're paying your bills every month, right? You have your salary, right? So if something indicates otherwise, try reframing the situation. You're not seeing from a positive standpoint, from a positive perspective. This is crucial, right? Do not be negative. Whatever you think builds your reality. If you think and you affirm that this organization doesn't have my back, you are on the wrong organization. Think about that. Maybe you should reframe. It's duality. You have to think about yes or no. Are they or are they not? Right? Think about that. All right. Naturally, social support and connections. So building positive relations with others, with colleagues at work, friends, peers, agile community groups, right, can help you recover from stress and adversity that may affect your work, maybe even personal lives, right? Of course, we are working from home. Majority of people are doing some hybrid type of work now. working like I'm home right now. I don't have to travel anymore to train people. It's awesome. Of course, I miss being places around, but I miss being in India. I've been in ashrams in Bangalore. I've been in Europe, in cool places in Germany and Switzerland and in the United States, all over the place. But I'm training people from home now. So that means it's really hard to separate your personal from your work life. It's really hard. So because everything is happening on a your workplace is home now, right? Think about that. So therefore, you have to be connected to people. You have to be connected to people that think alike. You have to be connected to people that desire or wishes the same thing that you wish for your career or for your personal development. Crucial, right? And let me give you guys some tools for managing emotions and maintaining perspectives, right? One is writing for blogs. Don't know if you guys like that, right? Journaling, maybe write down on a piece of paper your thoughts, your feelings, can help you gain clarity, new perspective on challenging situations. When you write down something, you increase the probability of understanding that something. Never forget that. So writing for, why don't you become an editor for recognized or esteemed Agile blog around, or create your own blog. Start writing down your things, right? Balancing your emotions and managing your emotions is crucial at this moment, right? Define your goals, right? Once you have identified areas for improvement by understanding, but through self-awareness or mindfulness, you have to define specific and measurable goals that's going to help you achieve your greater resilience. Why the focus on resilience? That's the differentiating aspect. If you want to improve and get better as a Scrum Master, as an Agilist, right, you have to think about resilience. As I said, it's the number one differentiating aspect for 21st century professionals, right? So for example, you could be building positive relationships with people or avoiding overthinking. These mental images we have all the time. If you go to bed, imagine after a tough day, hard-working day, you go to bed, those mental images in your head, right? What are they doing? They're mixing thoughts, right? Or sounds or a music, a song type of music, or maybe a specific song that you heard and doesn't get out of your head. You lay your head on the pillow and this thing is, you know, screaming in your brain. It's a sign of overthinking. Stop, meditate, practice mindfulness, practice self-awareness, fundamental. What's the cheapest way to practice that? Meditating, right? I believe most of you guys are in India. If you're in India right now, you are on the birthplace of yoga and meditative practices, right? Don't take that for granted. I remember when I was a kid, I lived on a I live on a city that was by the sea, right? They have beautiful beaches there and everything. And in hindsight, when I said to people, I live in that city, people go like, we used to go like, oh, wow, awesome. I believe you live on the beach all the time, right? No, I lived there for 7 years and I went to the beach 4 times. If I rewind my life and go back to that place, I would go to the beach every week for sure. 100%. Just driving 10, 15 minutes with my car. I never did that. Isn't that crazy? We take for granted. Don't take that for granted, right? Make a plan. Why do you need a plan, right? You have to be practical, pragmatic, right? So develop a plan to achieve your goals by identifying specific actions you can take to build new habits, develop new skills, for example, right? You could be talking to a therapist, right? A coach to help you grow. Could be talking to somebody like me. Could be talking to somebody in your community, right? It could be learning, yourself learning new things about yourself and specific things like lean, agile aspects or other management practices. Whatever it is, it could be feeding your left side of the brain or maybe the right side of the brain. Maybe it's the moment for you to start thinking about how could I feed the right side of my brain? because I've been feeling the left side of my brain for so many years. I spent 37 years. I'm 47 right now. I spent 37 years feeling with with a lot of excitement, to be honest, because I'm very curious. I like learning things. I was feeling the left side of my brain. And after I had a burnout in 2014 of traveling so much, I start looking around and start trying to understand myself, that's self-awareness, right? What are my triggers? And start learning about how could I feel, or how could I fulfill the right side of my brain? And once you do that, you identify the need for balancing those two things. Make a plan. We don't make plans only for projects. We make plans for personal development as well. All right. And set deadlines, of course. So we got to be realistic about that. Achievable deadlines, naturally based on a current schedule and commitments, right? We have a very busy lifetime nowadays, isn't it? What's the first thing you guys do when you wake up in the morning? First thing you do, let me guess, you check your cell phone, isn't it? I bet most of you guys check your cell phones. What's the last thing you do when you go to bed? You check a cell phone. This means that we're consuming knowledge all the time. It is crazy. And most of this knowledge is useless, right? Careful with that. I mean, just open a parenthesis here, but set deadlines based on your current schedule. Think about your schedule. Think about what you do on a daily basis. What type of knowledge are you consuming? Are you reading perhaps Agile and management books like those here, right? Or are you consuming the stupid knowledge that people feed you on Instagram or Facebook or X, former Twitter? Think about that, right? So rethink your schedule. All right. Now, to help you guys create a plan, being very pragmatic, I created a backlog, a learning backlog for an agilist, right? That's what it looks like. I'm gonna share these with you guys right now. So on the left side, what you see here it's the backlog itself is categorized in strengths and areas of knowledge, right? And on the right side, you see your sprint backlog. So you're going to be adding items from this backlog here into your sprint backlog. Your sprint backlog is created on a weekly basis, and you need to follow these rules on a daily basis. List at most six activities per day. Higher priority activities, of course, they stay at the top of the day over here, right? And only move to the next activity after checking the first one. Stop starting and start finishing. At the end of the day, activities that haven't been completed, they carry on to the next day. And each week you create another weekly plan. You're finished not when you get a job or when you get recognition in the company, but when you finish the backlog. All right. This is your career we're talking about, right? And therefore, there's always room for improvement. So of course, the learning backlog is already filled with a lot of activities that I consider important for agilists, but you may find other activities. It's up to you guys. Click on this link or code here and make a copy of the learning plan. It's a Google Doc file. You can create a copy of the file and use it whatever you want. So now that you've done listening to this webinar, right? Let's check your newly gained knowledge. Click here on the code, create a copy, create a plan, right? So I'll just call everybody Agilists, as I said. So this plan here is built around three main resilience areas: knowledge, networking, and attitude. These are the three things you need to strengthen if you want to increase the probability of a better career, right? So build your own learning backlog. Take mine as an example or as a backbone and add to that, or maybe remove some of the activities, create your own and follow the rules, the weekly rules. Boom, boom, boom. But you're going to see that at the end of 3 months, you're going to be a much better person. Remember, do not add activities only for the left side of the brain. Add activities for the right side of the brain. All right. Outstanding. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me today. I hope you have learned something from this webinar. And if you want to know more about me or contact me, please check this QR code below. This is my LinkedIn page. All right, you can message me, and I've been consulting teams and organizations for 20 years in Agile and management practices. And I would be curious to hear how I can help you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks, Sonia, for organizing the webinar.
And, no problem, Heitor. So, if you have any questions, you can ask now. I've enabled the chat option to everybody. So, if you have any questions, you can post in a chat option, or if you want to, if you're willing to talk to the speaker, you can raise your hand. I will allow you to talk. Any questions?
Well, if they have any specific questions you want to ask here, you guys can send me messages on LinkedIn as well. All right.
Yes. You can raise your hand if you're willing to talk. Nobody has any questions?
People are a little bit shy today, right? Yeah. Thanks, Ofo, Nime, Vivian. What's up? Thanks for being here, Thekla. It was helpful. Thanks. Yeah. If you guys want the material here, I can send you guys a PDF version of the material. Just message me on LinkedIn, right?
Cool. All right, if you're not having any questions, then we have a question, I guess. Okay, even that is thank you, Heitor. Thank you for attending session. All right, so we are planning more sessions with Heitor in coming months. We have one scheduled in Feb also. So please visit our KnowledgeHut website and get registered. And yes, until next time, I think we are good to end the session, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Yes, thank you, everyone.